Hello and Happy New Year. This is Hank Kim, Executive Director and Counsel for the National Conference on Public Employee Retirement Systems. This is the video blog for the first week of the new year. I trust that everybody had a joyous and happy holiday season, and now we are back to the grind, and I want to begin the first video blog of 2015 with really a recap of what happened in the final weeks of 2014. First, let me begin with what was largely mistaken in the public sector in regard to an act of Congress that allowed multi-employer private sector pension plans to negotiate benefit cuts. So the issue I'm talking about occurred when the lame duck Congress, the last act of the 113th Congress, passed legislation to fund the federal government for the balance of the fiscal year. As part of that funding legislation was included legislation to allow troubled and severely underfunded multiple employer Taft Hartley pension plans that are jointly managed by union and employer representation, for those troubled pension plans to negotiate essentially reduction in benefits. There was a lot of chatter in the public sector thinking that this act of Congress was for the public plan space, i.e. governmental plans, but in fact it was not. And what is more is that it was supported by our counterpart, NCPERS counterpart, the National Coordinating Council on Multiple Employer Plans, as well as nearly 20 Taft Hartley private sector unions and their employer groups. It is not legislation that I think anybody wanted it to happen, but it is something that is necessary because of the dire consequences, and certainly there are strong emotions on both sides of this issue. I think the takeaway from the public plan space is that really it is a private sector issue that Taft Hartley unions and their employers and their pension trade association dealt with. And for the public plan space, it's something for us not to be involved in. In terms of actions in Congress for the new 114th Congress, I think the public plans, we have our own issues that we need to deal with, namely Senator Orrin Hatch's SAFE legislation. So, I know that there was a lot of confusion in December about the impact of this legislation, whether it impacted public plans or not. Rest assured, it does not affect public plans. Again, it is only intended for those very troubled private sector multiple employer plans. The second lame duck issue I'd like to talk about is more positive, and it happened in the state of Illinois. The lame duck session of the Illinois state legislature passed the Illinois Secure Choice bill, which and Governor Quinn of Illinois, as one of his final acts, signed the legislation into law. As you know, Secure Choice is a moniker for state-based public-private partnership to allow those individuals in the private sector who do not have access to employer-sponsored retirement savings vehicles to allow them a vehicle for saving for retirement. So it is a state savings program that the state of Illinois enacted, which follows similar legislation that have been enacted and implemented in states like Massachusetts, California, Oregon, Minnesota, Connecticut, Vermont, and executive action in Maryland. Speaking of Maryland, one of the disappointing aspects of the early part of the year is when the new governor of Maryland came into office. He chose not to renew the executive order authorizing a study commission on a Maryland public-private savings study that the task force was working on. But that doesn't mean that we're giving up hope, and in fact we take great comfort in the actions of Illinois, and we feel that in Maryland being a state that is ripe for action in 2015, along with a number of other states, for on secure choice. So I encourage you to pay attention, stay tuned, and if you hear of any legislative activity that is noteworthy for us to talk about or pay attention to, please let us know. And my final note for this video blog is to let everybody know of the NCPERS Healthcare Symposium and Legislative Conference slated for January 25th through the 27th here in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol Hilton, where we'll be talking about healthcare issues and legislative activities, some of which that I just touched upon. So if you want more information, please go to our website, www.ncpers.org, to register for the Healthcare Symposium and Legislative Conference. And I look forward to video blogging with you in the very near future. Thank you.